Hello, today we're going to be answering a variety of questions relating to adjustment of status and U visa, and we'll be getting other questions throughout the time. Hello, my name is Mercer Colley. I'm one of the partners here at Colley Forsyth, and I'm joined today by Raquel Fernandez. So Raquel, introduce yourself.
My name is Raquel Fernandez, and I'm an associate attorney at Colley Forsyth. We're excited to get into some new questions today and provide immigration answers for you.
So we do this every Wednesday. We have questions that come in from different social media outlets, and we're able to answer those questions live. And then also it is posted so that if you can't watch us live, you can join us later for that. But that's every Wednesday at noon. We're doing it, and we have this in English. And we also do it on Fridays at noon as well. And Raquel is on that one as well, and that one is in Spanish.
That's right. And Friday we'll be joined by attorney Jordan Forsyth. So you guys can tune in. If you speak Spanish, you can tune in at 12 o'clock.
So as we're doing this, if you have any questions, we're live on TikTok and we're live on Facebook. You can just post those, and we'll try to get to those today as well.
Yep. And we have our first question, Attorney Mercer, if you're ready. So the first one is, can my U.S. citizen son or daughter get married and still petition for me?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. If you have a U.S. citizen son or daughter and they're over the age of 21, they are allowed to file for a parent, and it doesn't matter what their marital status is. So, for instance, if you have a daughter who's 25 and she wants to file for you, and you're as to get your green card, then she can do it. And it doesn't matter if she's single or married. Now, the reason that question probably comes up because the reverse is not true. Because if you are a U.S. citizen parent and you want to file for a child, then it does matter if they're married or not. Those are two different categories, and one can take longer than the other one. But the other way around, it doesn't really matter, so that one's okay.
Yeah, and the reason for that also is because the immigration definition of child is someone who is under 21. Is that correct?
Right, exactly. So if it's a child under the age of 21, then it's a different category. But an adult child, which is someone over the age of 21, is a different category, and then an adult child that's married is even another category. So if you're filing for the child, yes, it matters if they're married or not. If the child is filing for you, then you're okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And we have another question. So this person asks, do I need a waiver to get my residency if I bring my children to the U.S. without a visa?
Potentially. I mean, if you have brought your children into the U.S. without a visa, it depends on the circumstances and what has happened. The reason that is because immigration can determine if you brought a child into the United States without a visa, they can say that's smuggling. But fortunately, there is a category where if that is the case, if somebody has brought a child in without status, without a visa, that the person can get a waiver because it is their child. So if it is their child, if it is their spouse, so there are certain categories that if it is that particular relationship that the person who came in, then yes, there is a waiver for that can allow somebody to then obtain a green card, even if this has happened in the past. But as Raquel knows, we look at this a lot, and so a lot of it depends on the facts that have happened that led up to the person coming in the country. And so if you have this concern, my suggestion is that you need to speak with an immigration attorney before you take any steps, because that is a situation that can trigger the need for a waiver if you're trying to get a green card, but this maybe has happened in the past.
Absolutely. And you guys can call our office to schedule a free consultation. Our phone number is 704-522-6363. We offer free consultations, so that way we can let you know if you need this waiver or not.
Absolutely. And And just to that point, so that there are certain cases that they come in. Every case that we open, as the attorneys, we discuss the strategies and talk about that. And this is one that comes up that we do have to talk about. So I would highly recommend, if this is an issue you're having, you need to speak to an attorney about it.
Definitely. And we have another question. So this person asks, which process is faster for a U.S. citizen's son or daughter to petition for their parent, or for their parent to apply for a U visa? Which is more convenient?
So as far as time goes, so let's go with time first.
Yeah.
Time. As far as time goes, the process for a child that's 21, that's a U.S. citizen, to file for a parent, and that parent to obtain a green card, is much, much faster than a U visa. So right now, if a child is filed for a parent and the parent is able to do everything here in the United States and adjust their status, then that process, usually with COVID, is probably going to take about a year. Before COVID, it was a little faster, but now expect that to take a year. U visas, right now, they are approving U visas that were filed back in 2015, 2016, somewhere in that range. So that's 5 or 6 years away. Plus, once you obtain the U visa, you have to wait another 3 years before you can file for the green card. So it's going to be faster if you can adjust. Now, the issue that comes up, and probably where this is the problem, is if the U.S. citizen child is filing for a parent, but the parent did not enter the United States with inspection, which means that the parent did not come in the United States with either a visa or a parole document where an officer looked at the passport and allowed them to come into the U.S., then the person usually is not going to be able to get the green card here in the United States. They're going to have to go back to their home country, consular process, in order to come back to get the green card. The problem that they run into is that if they've been in the U.S. for more than a year without status, so if they've entered without a visa and stayed more than a year, when they leave to go get the visa, the government's going to say, nope, you cannot come back for 10 years. And there are waivers, but unfortunately, a child that is a U.S. citizen child over 21, they're not eligible to help their parent with a waiver. And so a lot of times, if the parents are in the U.S. without inspection, the U visa might end up being their best option, even though the U visa is going to take, like I said, 5 or 6 years right now just to obtain the U visa. So I know that was a lot.
Yeah.
that may not
That's
have
a
been
lot of great information.
But that's the reason why sometimes a U visa may be better, even though it takes longer.
Yeah, and this waiver that Attorney Mercer was talking about, it is available through a United States citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, or parent. But in many cases, the parent in this scenario doesn't have a parent or a spouse who would qualify. So that's why maybe if they qualify for this U visa, it's a great option for them, because the U visa does provide a waiver for that.
And that's a great point that Raquel just made, and it triggered something else in my mind, is that, as we talked about with the first question, sometimes a U.S. citizen child that's over the age of 21 is going to be the fastest way to get to the second step, which is the waiver. So there may be times where the child files for the visa, but the waiver is filed for by a parent, but the parent doesn't file for the visa itself, because that could take 6, 7, 8 years. And so there are some times where you can actually have 2 family members for the same type of petition, one to actually do the visa, one to do the waiver. So that's a great point that you put out, Raquel, that there can be other options available too.
Yeah, definitely. And we have another question from TikTok Live right now. So Bertha asks, my husband is waiting for his immigration appointment in Juarez. Our date is May 2020. Is it necessary? I don't know. It says May 20. Is it necessary to get COVID? Maybe she means to get his shots.
Get the COVID shots. And Bertha, that is a great question right now, because that is something that a lot of clients are having to deal with. So as far as the visa goes, no, there's no requirement to have a vaccine in order to get the visa itself. But there are travel restrictions, and that's where the problem is running in. So in order to travel back into the United States, right now the US is requiring that somebody be fully vaccinated, which means that they have both shots and that the second shot be a certain period of time after they travel, or before they travel. So that is something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that the United States has listed out all the vaccinations that are qualified, are considered to be okay for travel into the United States. So you need to look at that list, because it is possible that your husband could get a vaccination in Mexico for one that is not recognized by the US government, and then it doesn't help him. So for travel purposes, yes, right now there is the requirement that the person be fully vaccinated in order to get on the plane to come to the United States. And fully vaccination means there are some specific vaccines that can be used or that need to be used.
Yeah, and I can leave the link to see the approved vaccinations in the comments here on Facebook, and hopefully this week I can also put out a video on TikTok showing those different vaccinations as well, because it's something very important to keep in mind. It might even be best, if he is in the US and he's going to go to Juarez, to get it done before he goes to his appointment.
Yeah, that's a great point, because sometimes you may find yourself in a situation where the ones that are required are not readily available right there where you are. So you know that the ones required are in the United States right now. So that's a great point, that if he hasn't left yet, if he hasn't traveled to Juarez for his appointment, if this is something he wants to do and feels like he needs to do, then he needs to look here in the United States. That'd be a great idea.
Absolutely. And if you guys have any other questions, you guys can go ahead and leave them in the comments, and we'll address them next week. And also, if you would like to schedule a consultation, as we stated previously, you can give us a call. I'll also leave the phone number in the comments, and the phone number is 704-522-6363.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for your questions, and we hope that the information was beneficial. And as we're saying at the beginning, if you have questions or you'd rather hear the answers in Spanish, this Friday at noon is a great time to listen in. We'll have it both again on Facebook and on TikTok, and you'll be able to get those. If not, join us again next Wednesday, and we will be glad to answer your questions. And next Wednesday, again, will be in English. And we have our Facebook and our TikTok always up, so you can ask questions throughout the week, and we'll answer them on a specific day.
Absolutely. You can find us on TikTok as CF Immigration. C as in Collie, F as in Forsyth, Immigration.
Okay, so thank you guys, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.